There is a serious and dangerous coup taking place in our courts, and it has absolutely terrified me. Keir Starmer and Shabana Mahmood, the Justice Secretary, are planning on giving far-left activist judges full control of our courts. For 900 years, we've had jury trials in Britain, but Keir Starmer wants to ditch them. In my opinion, this is yet another Orwellian wet dream of the far left, giving the woke, elitist, Britain-hating judiciary full autonomy over trials. And as always, stripping away your rights needs a cover story. And this time, it's cost-cutting, isn't it? And clearing a backlog. They say it will save £31 million. Well, that sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it? And it is a lot of money. But let's just bear in mind, it's 0.2% of the justice budget. On top of that, our good friend David Lammy spent over £1.3 million on flights overseas in just 3 months. So that gives you an idea of the scale of money this is going to save by reducing your right to a fair and free jury trial. Not by your peers anymore. It'll be by some ultra-wealthy North London judge. Look at the case of Jamie Michael, cleared of racial hatred in 17 minutes by a jury of ordinary people. Of course, they saw through the nonsense, didn't they? Now compare that to Lucy Connolly, handed 31 months behind closed doors with no jury trial at all. That is where our judiciary is headed. This isn't reform, this isn't cost-saving, is it? It's regime change, a full-blown power grab by far-left authoritarians, and they just happen to be in robes and a wig.
Have you had a random call lately from a strange number, maybe trying to sell you something or even scam you? If so, your info could be out there. That's because of data brokers, shady companies that scrape the internet for your personal details and sell them to marketers or even scammers. These days, scammers can even use AI to mimic your friends' voices and trick you into sending money. It's not just annoying. Data brokers often target vulnerable people with high-interest loans or sketchy offers. But there is a solution. Incogni, the sponsor of this video. Incogni contacts data brokers on your behalf and requests your info be deleted from their databases. And because your data can keep popping up, Incogni keeps sending removal requests to make sure it stays gone. They've just launched a new unlimited plan with custom removals. If you find your info on a weird website, just send them the link and their privacy team will work to get it taken down. Getting started is easy. Hit the link in the description, create your account and let Incogni handle the rest. It's risk-free for 30 days and you'll get 60% off an annual plan with the code GBNews. Take back control of your data with Incogni.
Right, let me bring in my panel on this topic here. Will, quite scary stuff. The Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, of course, brought this to light earlier in the week. But this is the justice system in this country is bankrupted, in my opinion, at least morally bankrupted. This is just going to extend that even further.
It's sinister, isn't it? And the really annoying thing is that they have cloaked this as an administrative move when it is very clearly an ideological move. We've seen all the silly refugee cases and the way that the judiciary has been ideologically captured in this country. And this is a really easy lever for this government to pull to continue to infiltrate the country with a woke far-left ideology. I think it's incredibly scary.
Jonathan, what do you make of it?
I've never heard such load of clickbait garbage in my life, mate.
There we go.
Absolutely rubbish.
You're not terrified.
Absolutely rubbish
Okay,
from start to finish. Look, the world is not a conspiracy. Not everything is conspiracy. Some things are actually, look, if you have a judicial system that is on its knees after 14 years of devastating cuts, where we had sort of dozens of courts closed, sort of people who are legal experts say that they've never seen such crisis in the judicial system and the prison system as well, it makes sense in a lot of cases to suspend jury cases, jury trials where the cases are very, very complicated and are best understood by judges, such as in serious fraud cases, for example. There are many, many countries which you would consider to be democracies where it's completely normal to have a series of one judge or 3 judges presiding over a case and determining guilt, and there's always a right of appeal. Just because you don't like the government, it doesn't mean that everything is a conspiracy out to get people who share your views.
I'm not saying it's not a conspiracy, because this is potentially happening. A conspiracy would be some hypothetical jargon. This is actually a proposal by the government. Let me bring Lucy into this one. What do you make of these potential reforms?
Well, I have to agree with Will, to be honest with you. I think we know that this government is completely biased, and we don't see justice. The issue is the United Kingdom is supposed to be a country that upholds rule of law to the highest form. But I've just seen the rule of law degrade in so many levels. We're losing governance, we're losing accountability. And that's what I fear the most, is the loss of accountability.
Before we go to Bruce, I want to pick up on what Jonathan said, because it is just so demonstrative of this kind of liberal elite worldview that the left now embodies. Because basically he's saying, well, we can't really trust juries anymore. We can't trust the hoi polloi. We can't trust the everyday people. We need to trust
didn't say that at all.
Yeah, you basically said, well, we need to have kind of the judges who are the ones who really understand these sorts of things, and we can't trust the everyday common man in the way that we have believed.
I did not say that. I said that there are cases which are very, very complicated, which may be best served by a judge who is an expert in the field presiding over that case, because we also have a judicial system that's completely on its knees, completely underfunded, and there is a massive backlog of cases, people waiting years for their case to be held. It makes pragmatic sense.
OK, Bruce, coming in to a ring of fire here, starting off with the baptism of fire, should I say. Look, I'm worried about this, and there is a precedent here. We have seen some, I think, horrendous overbearing sentences towards people like Lucy Connolly, which should never receive 30 months, and that happened because there was no jury.
She pleaded guilty. That's
she
the
did
reason.
plead guilty.
But she pleaded not guilty. She
that's the thing. That's the thing. They are pressured into pleading guilty, and we see this endlessly. They're made promises. They're told that they'll get linear sentences. They then plead guilty, probably trying to get a better deal. And then we see the cases of Ricky Jones. We see the Manchester attackers. They plead not guilty. The case goes endlessly on for months and months and months. And it just seems to be, it's always one set of people that are pushed make a guilty plea, and you'll. But they're not. They're having the book thrown at them. Lucy Connolly is a prime example of that. There's been another recent case, I think, of a gentleman who's been fast-tracked through court, again without any jury. It's
what do you make of the sort of? I mean, my biggest problem is it seems that the court has been taken over by left-wing activists.
Yes,
that is my feeling.
But Jonathan, you have to agree that it's
a feeling.
Yeah,
it's a feeling. The facts don't care about your feelings, Alex.
Well, maybe they don't.
I'm sorry they don't.
But I think the facts do support my feelings.
They literally don't. I've seen Britain hating judiciary. It's such absolute.
Well, it absolutely. Hang on, let me hear from Bruce.
It just goes back to what I said. You're seeing big cases. Essentially, what a small. Don't get me wrong. What Lucy Connolly did wasn't justified. Was it justified to fast-track her through to a 31-month sentence in prison when she could have just been given a tag, maybe a community order? She could have been given a fine. The harshness of that case is unbelievable.
She was jailed according to guidelines that already existed. It wasn't the judges.
Jonathan, I've got to bring everyone to Lucy, because it says cases like that with Lucy Connolly scream to me that there's an agenda there. We want to make an example of something.
Yes, exactly.
And we've seen people like there's a paedophiles being let off with house arrest. Right? There feels to me like there is an activist element of our judiciary. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Well, I would say it's easier to maintain rule and order in society when someone is actually a respectable citizen. When you have, terrorists and paedophiles that walk the streets or grooming gang members, that there's more public revolt that could happen around that. So I do believe it's a way for them to suppress that potential revolution, revolt in the public.
Well, look, when you take the power away from fair jury, which has been here for 900 years, and you put it into the hands of a small group of people, they're going to get a power trip. It happens throughout human history. Anyway.